Hello, everybody, and welcome to the LFC Transfer Room. My name is Louis, and we are here for, I guess, probably the final video taking a proper look at the events of last season. It's the 2021-22 awards show here on the LFC Transfer Room, and I'm joined by Jay, James, and Neil. We'll get into a good few categories. I'll run through them in a minute, but thank you to everybody who is joining. Please feel free to get involved at any point with your vote for the specific one we're talking about at the time. But first of all, Jay, how are you doing?
All good, mate. Feeling a bit more like I'm over the weekend now, so yeah, I'm already waiting for next season, even though I could probably do with the break from the one we've just had.
Absolutely. And James, a bit of a rush this evening for you, but you're with us in the end.
Yeah. Pleased to be here. I think this is my first stream since yeah. So I'm excited to talk about some positive things actually, because it's been a good season.
And Neil, how are you doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks. I think I'm enjoying the rest. I think normally over the past 2 months we'd probably have had a game tonight on the Tuesday, so I'm looking forward to having a few weeks rest, as I'm sure the players are once they've got their international commitments out the way.
Absolutely. Lots of people joining already. Thank you very much for getting involved. SG, Evercolour, Marlon Mason, and Jen, of course. Thank you very much for joining us. Let's just get straight into it. Some of the topics that we'll cover, we'll save best player towards the end, I think. We'll do best young player, best goal, most improved, best signing. Only 2 choices for that one, of course. And best assist. And if anyone else thinks of one that they'd like an opinion on, do feel free to let us know in the live chat as well. Which ones do we start with? Let's get new signing out of the way, because there's only 2, and I think they've both been positive for in the main. But I do think this is actually quite an interesting conundrum. So in the live chat, please do let us know who your best signing of the year is. It's obviously between Ibrahima Konate and Luis Diaz. Neil, I'll start with you. Who takes your vote on this one?
Not an easy decision, but I will go for Diaz. And that's not to talk down Ibu's progress over the season. He was absolutely outstanding on Saturday. I just felt the Diaz signing gave the club a lift when it was most needed. It just seemed to be the catalyst for our run in the second half of the season. So for that reason, Luis Diaz.
Interesting. And James, do you share that, or does Big Ibu get your vote?
It's interesting, isn't it? The third one that went through my head was a Klopp contract extension as the best signing we've made. So that's the other one that's entered my thinking when I was thinking about this. It's tough, isn't it? Because Neil's right. I think both have played about the same amount of games as well. You know, because Matty, the number of games Matty's played, the number of games Ibu have played. I mean, Ibu palmed off Kante and sent him back 5 years in that game against Chelsea, where he just palmed him off, and that stuck with me. But Diaz changed games and helped us win games that I think we would have drawn. So for me, it's Diaz is the signing of the season. Probably then Klopp, then Konate. And that's nothing against Konate. He's an absolute sensation.
Yeah, I mean, just speaking of Konate moments, I mean, you mentioned the Kante one, but I remember the watch along for the Real Madrid game when he ended up covering for Trent out on the right, and he just completely bodied Vinicius off the ball and came away and dribbled with it.
Oh,
and for me, I was straight away, I was like, oh, fair play, lad. You know, first Champions League final, first season with the best club in the world. I mean, it's some effort. And Jay, what about you? I was going to say Kante then. Konate or Diaz?
Been massively impressed with both of them, but Diaz for me. I feel like he was the catalyst for what happened for the rest of the season. I think if Diaz didn't come in, Mane probably doesn't play central and wouldn't have had the impact he had from being central. I just think the signing that he was gave everyone else a boost, and it made everyone else raise their game, except for Salah, arguably. So yeah, I felt like he was the catalyst that pushed us on to reach the finals that we did, and obviously push City through to the wire as well.
So there's 3 votes there from our lot on the stream for Diaz. Do let me know in the chat. I think pretty much everybody's in agreement with you there. So I'm going to be different. I'm going to stick up for our boy Konate. For me, I mean, there's genuine thoughts behind this. I think Konate's had that pre-season. He's been able to almost completely integrate into the squad, and switching him out with Matip has been a pretty easy process. I think whilst Diaz himself has been somewhat of a revelation, and maybe we're still just waiting to see that more consistent output in terms of finding Mane or Salah in the box, or actually getting goals himself. There's always been a part of me in the back of my mind that thinks maybe he's just going to be much better next year, and with that pre-season behind him, he'll not only play better himself, but the front 3 as a whole will work better together. I think there's Dan's always in here telling us to change the colours of the. I don't think there is a gold. How am I meant to get gold?
Yeah, that's goldish.
Is that cold? We'll leave it at that. Right. Ruined my train of thought.
What
was I saying?
He's not happy.
Konate, Diaz, played fantastically well himself. I think he's a different player to what Mane is out on the left wing. He's a different player to what Jota is out on the left wing. And I think that just, in some ways, disturbed the balance of the front 3. And we've not had time, games every 3 days. I think we've just not had time to adjust that. So I expect next year we're going to see Mo Salah back to his best, because they'll have that time to gel and that time to just tweak things, because Diaz is much more of an out-and-out winger rather than an inside forward or someone who's more inverted. So for that reason, I'll go with Konate, just because his inclusion, I think, has been a lot more effortless across the whole team. But do let me know if anybody else has any other thoughts on that. Hylas, I just want to use this moment to congratulate Dirk Kuyt with his first manager job at ADO Den Haag. I'm sure he's going to be a legend, as he was a player in England and Holland. Oh, didn't know that. Congratulations to him if he's watching. Let's move on. So we'll combine this next one, because there's 2 for this, but best young player. So we'll do best young player, if that means a youth player for you, or just someone who's 22 and under in the squad. We'll do that. So a bit more choice for this one. And Jay, I'll start with you first. Your best young player of the season.
I'd only pick someone from the first team, to be honest. I think Jones started the season very well, and Elliot did up until the injury. But I don't think either of them played enough football to be able to say he was the best young player. So for me, it's very easily Ibou Konate. That performance against Real Madrid, mate, was just unbelievable. It really was. Like, that performance, you'd nearly say, who's playing alongside Konate next season? As mad as that sounds, that's how good he was for me. He was brilliant. So, Konate.
Yeah, I'm glad you've made that point, actually, because maybe we can do a specific one for each. So we'll stay with best young player, and then we'll do best youth player in a minute. So sticking with best young player, James, who gets your vote on that one?
Konate's, it's the obvious shout, isn't it? He's. I remember Trent saying on the parade just how proud he is of Ibou and what he's done, and the impact that he's made. I do think Jones has taken a step forward this year. Like, I think he started imprinting on games a little bit more. Like, when Jones was playing with a team of under 23s in the Carabao Cup, he stamped his authority on the games a lot more than when he plays in the first team. But I mean, Daniel says, can we count Konate considering he's 23? So if Konate, which is in the age bracket for Young Footballer of the Year, but if that is the case, then isn't Trent 23?
Yeah, Dan's just said that as well. It's a tough one. I
I think when someone's won a senior award, I don't think they should be eligible for youth awards again. It does my head in. Once they've broken into that, you're good enough in world football, I don't think they should be getting Young Player of the Year as well. So for me, I think it's Ibu, because I think Trent is probably in the conversation for Best Player of the Year.
Neil, do we have another clean sweep on this one?
No, I've gone for Trent. He's the same age as, I think he's slightly a few months older, but he's 23 and so is Ibu. Brilliant season. I think 12 assists in the Premier League. Has really taken his game on, and is crucial to the way we play. So I think he deserves to get a mention somewhere. And for me, it was for best young player.
I'm just trying to look at all of our players' ages. Do you know who I'm going to?
Someone's put in the chat.
Oh, you idiot! I was going to say that. That was going to be my
He's another
idea.
one who's 23, 24, I think.
He's 23. Yeah, that was going to be my idea. Damn it. Yeah, I'm going to throw Kelleher out there. Yeah, won us. Scored his penalty. We'll say he got inside the head of Arrizabalaga and forced him to miss his one. But did anybody before this season think really stood a chance of playing much football? And now he comes away with a winner's medal, playing in a final at Wembley for Liverpool. And James, you've spoken whenever we speak about youth on this channel, you mention a lot that it's the 0.1% who make it at clubs like Liverpool, especially from the youth. So I'm not saying he's made it, but to do as well as he has and be considered our second choice goalkeeper at this stage in his career is fantastic. And I hope we can keep hold of him, but I don't know how easy that's going to be.
I think people are going to be knocking on the door this summer because he's a good keeper. He's a very good keeper. I think he would be a strong bottom half of the Premier League keeper because he communicates well. He's playing well at international level. But I think he believes, I'm not sure I believe, but I'm certain he believes he is next after Alisson. So for as long as he's here, he is going to be the replacement. And that's the sort of mentality that you want in a number two, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Not someone that's waiting to retire and just taking a great paycheck.
Exactly. Let's have a look at best youth player. So, not everybody follows the academy, every week at all levels, but the players that have been given a chance in the first team, in some of those FA Cup draws, some of the earlier rounds of the Carabao, and in some cases like Tyler Morton in Premier League games as well. So, James, I'll start with you on this one. Your youth player of the season.
I'm between two, and I can't say his name, and it's doing my head in. It's the Polish lad.
Musialewski.
Again in English?
Musialewski.
Because every time I've watched any of the highlights, and I appreciate I'm watching highlights here, he's always been a critical part of it. But I think Tyler Morton, for me, is running that midfield at that level. So for me, he is the youth player of the year. It's just, it's difficult, isn't it? Defensive midfielders and playmakers rarely get the accolades because they're just ticking things along and everyone says they pass sideways and stuff like that. Michael Carrick is a really good example of someone that never got any praise despite the fact he won so much. And I know that's a crappy example, but because it's not Liverpool, but you know what I mean. So for me, I'm going to go with Tyler Morton. I think he's becoming a clever central midfielder. He's just got to bulk up a bit and he might be able to make it at Premier League level.
Yeah, a few people are throwing out names as well, just as a bit of a good reminder, I think, as well. Some of the people who've done their bit in the first team as well. Cade Gordon, obviously got a goal in the FA Cup. Connor Bradley is deputised a couple of times at right back. Do any of those come to mind, Neil?
So I did go for Connor Bradley, actually. I really like him. I think he's got a lot of the attributes that you need to be a modern day fullback. He's already capped for his senior international team, and I think when he came in, I think he came in originally for the Norwich Carabao Cup game. May have been at fault for the penalty or something. He was at fault for something in that game, but responded well. Didn't let it affect him. And I think one of the reasons that they may be willing to let Neco Williams leave is because of the development of Bradley. I think he's done quite well for the under-23s. He's got quite a few assists as well. So I went for him. Another one I think worthy of mention is Oakley Cannoneer.
Yeah.
40 goals, I think, for the under-18. So the famous ball boy before Origi's second goal against Barcelona. So, but Conor Bradley for me on this one.
And Jay, who do you go for in this category?
I think the most exciting, as you James said, Musialewski to watch. He's definitely the most exciting. And when Kate Gordon was getting the odd game, I was always wondering why Musialewski wasn't. But for me, Cannoneer his goal record's ridiculous. I know it's obviously youth level, and Neil Mellor got a ridiculous record when he was playing youth football, but you can only score against who you're playing against. So his numbers are brilliant. So Cannoneer for me, Oakley Cannoneer.
What do we think the reason is for that? Musialewski was he injured when that FA Cup game was on, like the Shrewsbury one? That's when we had loads of our youth out, wasn't it? We had like Waltman playing up front.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Or was it Cannoneer? I'm sure one of them was injured because people were wondering where he was. But
isn't he more central as a player? And I think you can take more risks on a wing. I may be wrong, but he always seems central to me, not a winger. Whereas Kate Gordon's on the wing, and if he makes an error, it's less impactful of someone just cutting through the heart of your team. So I think I've said this before, but I think central midfielders come through later than wingers, because wingers can make errors and be out of position, whereas a central midfielder, if they're out of position, they're straight at the defence. So I always think, unless you're absolutely exceptional, which, again, Jell say his name for me, then I think you come through a little bit later. So I think his time's next season. The person that breaks that mould is obviously Harvey Elliot. And that is a winger central sort of player, and he's potentially very, very good.
He does play on the wing, you know, James. Musialewski. Yeah, he's a winger.
What's his
he
name
can't
again?
play forwards, but he Musialewski. You're gonna end up making me tongue tied, so I can't say it. Yeah, no, he is a winger. He can play forward, but he plays predominantly on the wing.
I saw him for the under-23s. I think it was their first game of the season away at Tottenham. And I saw the team and I saw him in it, and I was really, really looking forward to him playing. I think he played left wing, and he was awful. And I think he was taken off early in the game. And Kate Gordon played on the right and looked much more the part than he did. So I was a bit disappointed that, it's one game. But it does make you wonder that, that when others have been called up, that he hasn't, as to why that is.
For my vote would go to Tyler Morton, just because I know that we had a bit of a mini injury crisis in midfield at the halfway point of the season, but I still think if Klopp didn't think that he was ready or capable, especially of playing in games like Tottenham, then he wouldn't have played him no matter what. There was always other options, but Dan makes a good point. He's been amazing, yet we're still looking for a defensive midfielder to cover for Fabinho. Maybe LFC don't rate him as highly then. I think that's maybe a bit harsh. I mean,
I think he's just got to bulk up a bit. He's very slight, and for a DM who's going to mix it up a bit, he just needs to get in the gym a bit more.
Yeah,
eat a bit of cake, he'll be fine.
Do continue to let us know your thoughts and opinions, guys, as we go through the player awards. Please do like the video if you haven't done so already. And if you happen to be new, why not subscribe to the channel as well? It's a great place to be. And we've got all of your summer content lined up for you. It's going to be a slightly shorter summer with the World Cup forcing us into a bit of an earlier start. But it can still feel like an age when there's no games on. So do give us a subscription and we'll keep you occupied. A few comments have reminded me of another award that we could do. It feels like a bit of a weird one, but best loanee, best player out on loan, whether that's been for the full season or since January. Let's have a look at those. There's been a couple of success stories. Sepp van den Berg, a lot of people rate him a lot higher now than they did before he went on loan to Preston, and he's shown that he can play in a 3, he can play in a 4, he can manage at right back or centre back. Nico Williams went and was an instant success at Fulham and has obviously been promoted with them, and Nat Phillips as well, helping Bournemouth to get over the line. So I think really it's between those three. They're the three big ones. Harry Wilson moved though, didn't he? Harry Wilson's
he's transferred.
he's off.
He is now, but it was a loan.
It was a loan because I think
obligation.
it was a delayed payment. I think something to
Right.
do with Fulham and FFP, if I remember rightly. So, but yeah, Van den Berg definitely the standout. I think Williams was popular with the Fulham fans certainly at the start. I don't think they were as keen on him by the end of his loan spell. That's not to say they didn't like him, but
Right.
Van den Berg stands out. Ben Woodburn was one I was interested in because he had a really, really good pre-season with the Liverpool squad, and he went to Hearts, and he started quite well, but then seemed to fade away. So Van den Berg really is the standout.
Jay, do you share that opinion, or do Nico or Nat get a vote?
Had Nico and Nat been loaned from the beginning of the season, then yeah, I think the likelihood would have been one of the two. Nico looked really good for Fulham, scored a few good goals, but through longevity, it's been a whole season, and he's at a lesser team. I'm going to go with Van den Berg because you'd expect Fulham to go up and you expect Bournemouth to be up there as well. So Van den Berg for impact. The Preston fans seem to love him as well, and he also played out of position at right wing back. So yeah, he definitely gets the nod for me.
Just another one that's been in and out a bit. Paul Gletzel. So he went to Tranmere on loan. Had a slow start.
Leg break, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he had a slow start, and then I think he even came back and played for our under-23s whilst he was on loan. But then he did seem to pick up and got a few goals and assists.
James, who do you go for?
Oh yeah, Van den Berg. I mean, Neil's right. I'm really excited about Paul Gletzel coming back because I remember, I think it was a couple of years ago, everything was about Gletzel and Bobby Duncan together. They were a strike partnership, and obviously we all know what happened to Bobby Duncan in terms of his opinion of himself and his ability. But Gletzel stayed focused, and then he had a horrific leg break. And he's coming back, and he seems to be making good progress. Yeah, the Tranmere loan, 16 games, 4 goals, 3 assists. EFL Trophy, 3 goals, 2 assists. And you're right, he's played 1 game for us in Premier League 2, scoring and assisting. I really hope he comes back strong because he was tipped to be a really big and prolific striker. But Van den Berg for me.
Yeah, so all three of you have gone for Van den Berg. So just whilst we're on that topic, I mean, obviously when he first came in, very, very young, obviously he shares the same nationality as Van Dijk, so a lot of people got quite excited straight away by that. But I think we saw him a few times in various cup competitions in that first season, and some people thought he was, obviously maybe a little bit too scrawny, not particularly showing anything amazing at that point. Now he's been away. Now he's played, some gritty football down in the Championship for a year and a half, and has picked up some fans in the process. Does he have what it takes? He's made comments that he does want to come and fight for some sort of place in the pre-season. I'm not saying he's going to be instant 4th choice or instantly in the team or anything, but has he done enough to give Klopp something to think about? And if someone wants to take the floor on that, they can.
I think it'd be good to have him back for cover as right back because we're using Gomez there. He hasn't got any shout to try and play centre half. It's hard enough to pick that now, and I would prefer Gomez to go back to centre half. He's done a good job at right back when he's been asked to, but he's a far better centre half. That season when we won the league, him and Van Dijk, it was just colossal. You just couldn't. If you got past one, you didn't get past the other. I still really, really like Joe Gomez and hope he can somehow get back to the level he was, because the future for me is Kanate and Gomez. Which is why I wouldn't mind Vandenberg coming back if he can be covered at right back and Gomez can focus on being central again.
If so, someone we've been linked with is Ramsey, who would be a backup right back. If that happens, which there's a lot of rumours suggesting it would, Neil, does that spell the end for Vandenberg? Because they're just where would you find room for him?
Yeah, you're talking about probably then 5th choice centre back, assuming that Phillips goes, and I suspect Reece Williams will go out on loan again. So it would be his 5th choice centre back. I think we're all a bit scarred from the centre back issue, so we would probably want 5. So possibly that's his. That's where he'll end up. He's been capped now a couple of times for the Dutch under-21s as well. So he's still young, and he's certainly progressing. So I see him as probably his 5th choice centre back next season. And worst comes to worst, it's someone that will get a decent fee for now.
Dan, don't worry about it. We're going to get on to the nitty gritty stuff. I thought we build it up. We start low and we build it up towards the end. So we've been around the peripheries of the team. Best signing, obviously, then best young, best youth, best loan player, throwing that out into the mix. So let's have a look at some of the other stuff. Let's start with, and this is a bit of a niche one, assist of the season, if you can remember it. I'm going to go first in case anyone tries to steal my one.
Damn it.
I'm going to go for Sadio Mane's assist for Mo Salah versus Manchester United at home. When it was a lovely team move, ends up bouncing back to Joel Matip under pressure. He feeds it into Mane, who's back to go outside the box. First time, doesn't even look, right foot over the top of the defence, running straight into the path of Mo Salah, and he puts it past David De Gea.
Yeah.
Is that the
Fantastic.
5-0 or 4-0 one?
That's class.
4-0.
The 4-0 in the second half of the season, yeah. I had to do a little bit of research before coming on here because I just could not think of an assist, but that is my assist of the season. Sadio Mane for Mo Salah versus Manchester United. So, Neil, let's start with you. Your assist of the season.
So I've gone for Jordan Henderson, outside of the right boot, pass through to Mohamed Salah at Old Trafford to get his hat-trick.
These are nice, these ones. You know, I forgot about these two. They're belters.
Yeah, the best assists are the ones that lead to relatively easy goals, aren't they? Or like, you know, one-on-ones or something like that.
But that was wonderful, that one.
Jay, which one did you have in mind?
I was stuck between two. Trent for Jota in the Carabao Cup. Crossfield one, over the top. Straight onto Jota.
Which game was that?
Arsenal, Carabao Cup, we beat them 3-0.
Yes.
Then the other one I was conflicted with was Gomez's cross. I can't remember who it was against, but it was when we were all like, Gomez at right back, he's not going to be able to do what Trent can do.
Norwich?
And he just did. Yeah. So Alexander-Arnold's pass was the better one, definitely, without question. But I'm going to go for Gomez because a lot of people were worried about him playing that role and didn't think he'd be able to match Arnold, and that cross was just lovely. It weren't as good as the two you said, to be fair, in terms of the actual pass, but I'm a big fan of Gomez, so I'm going to give it to him for the cross that he done.
I think Gomez is such an interesting story, and I'm sure we'll do a video on at some point, because when I first joined the LFC transfer room back in December, I think that was one of the first videos that I made was, do we sell him? Does he go to Aston Villa on loan, or what do we do with him? And I think there's certainly some who the jury's still out. I know on our channel, Bojack is the biggest hater, Joe Gomez hater alive, I feel like, but it's nice to have him. But I think a lot of people have slightly started to come round to him, especially the idea of him maybe, at times filling in at right back as well, because his delivery's been like pretty decent, and he's actually quite a marauding fullback when he wants to be. And the more games he's played there, the better he has looked. James, go on.
Before you ask James, can I just point out Joe Gomez follows this channel?
No, he doesn't.
Check out if he, I swear to God, check out if he follows and we're on there.
Oh,
I'm not saying he
right,
watches the
Twitter,
videos, but he follows
God, no,
us
I
on
thought you
Twitter.
meant he was a subscriber. Bloody hell, I was going to get all
He
that.
follows
I was
us.
about to
That's,
go bright
that's
red.
it's a start. It's a foot in the door.
Hello, Joe. How are you?
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
but you're not going to say he shouldn't be sold now.
Yeah. No, I've always said he's a cracking player.
Always loved
Be
him.
number 4.
No, to be fair, I did back him. I said we should loan him because I wanted him to get football. But I said if he knows what's good for him, he'll stick with Klopp. James, best assist.
I've gone for James Milner in the 94th minute of the Carabao Cup, where he lobs the ball over the centre backs, lands on Minamino's chest, he slams it in the 94th minute to get us through.
Yeah.
It's the classic. I'm going to try and lob it into the danger area, but it's so pinpoint, no defender can get near it, and it puts us through to win a trophy. So for me, it's the Milner one. And I didn't know who did it. I was like, I know someone who delivered it, right? And so I looked it up. It was Milner that delivered that. So for me, that is the assist of the season because it won us a trophy.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great moment, and that's something that I want to include as well. Best moment. Just before that, because we are led by our lovely viewers, and Anissa has said best substitute performance, ? I almost want to say best Origi performance, but I'll leave it open to any substitute. Just quickly, I'm scratching brains here because this wasn't on our original list, but if you can think of a substitute performance, not necessarily, they didn't have to score from it, but
I think
if there was one thing that changed the game.
I think Everton 0-0,
Yeah.
an hour. Diaz and Origi came on and helped change the game. Origi was instantly involved in the first goal. So that's one that stands out. I think Craig's just mentioned Origi at Wolves away as well. So another crucial goal in injury time as well. So that's another good shout.
Does anybody else have one that they can think of to mind?
The Diaz Everton one for me. It felt, you felt a change. Like he came on and he suddenly just launched at them, and you felt the whole team change. And that was the first time I think we felt really nervous and we were really unsure of ourselves. And his sheer mentality changed that entire game. So I think Neil's absolutely nailed it with the Diaz one for me.
And Jay, anything come to mind?
I agree with Neil's. The only one I could think of was when Henderson came on against Aston Villa. We were shaky until he came on, and he gave us control of the game, I thought. So that's the only one that sticks out for me. I remember early in the season, Tiago coming on in 1 or 2 games and giving us complete control, but what games they were, I couldn't say. So, the ones the lads have mentioned in Henderson against Villa.
There's another good shout in the comments as well. Diaz v Villarreal. I think that's a strong one.
And the Origi last minute goal.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a moment. Speaking of moments, let's do best moment of the season. So everybody in the chat, I'm sure you've got lots of ideas for this one. The best moment. It can be a goal. It can be a disallowed goal. It can be an offside. It could be anything you could think of. It's the moment. It will have best goal, but this is the best moment of the season.
Don't come to me first. I'm thinking.
Okay, I'm trying to think what my one is. I think when Coutinho scored that second goal, man. Oh, that was up there. That was what could have been. That was up there. The Origi one as well, because that was just an all-round good day. Because I'd been with my dad to watch West Ham beat Chelsea that day, the 12:30 kickoff. That was when West Ham Masuaku got like an 85th minute winner, 3-2, and then that just turned out to be the topping on the cake. Hyla says Carabao Cup final, Kelleher United losing to Palace, says Black Hammer. Fergie's face at Old Trafford when Salah scored a hat-trick. Bloody hell. Anissa's got some crackers today. Jeez. Yeah, that's up there.
That's one.
Have either of you three got another one you can think of now?
I mean, it's just been 9-0 aggregate against United.
Yeah, that was special.
I mean, I think you said it, Louis. You almost felt sorry for him, and that's the gulf we've got. We weren't even in top gear, and they knew it as well, and you could see it on the faces just looking at it. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. There's been a couple of Mane moments as well this year, and where he's just done something ridiculous and scored. And I think Diaz nearly got an overhead kick that had been absolutely outrageous, which sticks in my head as well as a potential could have been a great moment. We've got to obviously say the Salah goals.
Yeah.
Both of them, Watford and Man City, they were spectacular moments. I think I'm going to go with the Man City Salah one for me.
I feel that'll be that was voted at least Liverpool goal of the year, wasn't it? Yeah. There's a few more of the. I just had a good one. Oh, that was it. Everton, second half of the season. Pickford catches the ball, goes down on his knees, smile and a wink. Second half, we're winning. Alisson does the exact same thing. That was because he wasn't even a dick about it. He just did it. There was nothing flashy. He just went down, completely deadpan, got up and got on with his day. I mean, that was absolutely class. So that's as petty as it is, that's definitely one of my moments of the season.
Maybe when Everton appointed Frank Lampard, because I knew.
That crazy goal Diaz scored outside the box where he took it from where there could have been a cross, but went for the shot and went in. Who was that? Oh, was that the one against Tottenham they're talking about? I don't know.
That was outside the box, wasn't it?
Legendary moment in every season, and he's a goalkeeper. Yeah, he did. Anything else that springs to mind? Origi versus Wolves, another big one. Just think if there's anything we've missed.
Can I take Kante back? Just that handoff, it sticks in my head.
There's a lot of moments like that. I actually felt the parade was quite a significant moment of the season as well. Yeah. Because obviously everyone was desperately down on Saturday and no one really knew how it would go. And the reaction of people in the city is just, again, it feels like it's lifted everybody, and finished the season in a nice way when we probably didn't expect it to go like that. So I think that was quite a significant moment for the players and the coaching staff.
One that I forgot, but we can obviously still do. Most improved player. Sometimes it can be a bit of a sympathy award. I remember I got a most improved player once. No, I got one for turning up. I got one for turning up to training every week and putting in effort. That's what I got an award for. That was
It's the one you didn't want to get, isn't it?
Yeah, they made it specifically for me. That it had never been done before. They made it specifically for me. That was even more of a confidence booster.
The Louis Fell Trophy as well.
Yeah. Matip scoring from an adventure run finally. Ali triple save against Norwich was pretty mad. I think the fact that it's against Norwich just kind of detracts away from it a little bit, rather than a Champions League final or something. But most improved player. James.
Matip. I think the fact that he's managed to solve his injuries that stop him from playing on a consistent basis. He's managed to get himself healthy, ready, available, consistent, and really sort of put himself forward as one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League. I think from going from a player that everyone was indifferent about selling because he couldn't string a lot of games together to being a player we essentially need is a huge improvement.
A couple of people agreeing with you on that one. Blackhammer says Simiclass. I guess that's who he's voting for. Jay, I'll jump up to you. Who's your most improved player?
I think Matip's a great shout by James. I would have said Mane for the second half of the season, but I just feel like he got back to the level he used to be at. So it wasn't technically an improvement. It was just better than his last season. For me, it's Tiago Alcantara. His first season was a tricky one. In and out the team with injury, COVID. think it took him a while to get used to the pace of the league. Some of the games this season, mate, watching him, you're just spoiled. The things he does, you just take for granted. He's generational. There's no, when you're trying to compare players and look for a similar type of player, there isn't one that exists like Tiago. He's just a one-off. So for me, Alcantara.
And Didi Harmon says he's the most overrated midfielder in the world. I mean,
He needs to lay off the Charlie, mate.
I just don't know what he's trying to do anymore. He doesn't have many positive words for anybody involved with the club anymore, does he? Neil, you're most improved.
So I think they're all good shouts, Matip, Tsimikas and Tiago. Tiago I did think about. I've gone for Takumi Minamino.
Yes.
Because I think he's had a significant impact. 10 goals. He was...
From like 11 shots or something crazy.
Exactly. It's ridiculous. And I think if you go back to the end of last season, were people that worried whether he stayed? Probably not. I think now you wouldn't want to... Everybody would be happy to keep him in kind of the role that he's played this season. So I think he's been great. And even when he came in, he hadn't played for ages when he came in against Southampton. Another brilliant goal. So for me, it's tacky.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I've always wanted him to do so well, and I think he's getting that at least from fans and from the players as well. At least he's getting that recognition a little bit. I think maybe that's, and it's not criticism in any way. That's probably just one of the downsides of the way that Klopp operates with his team. Is it's so difficult to keep those fringe players more engaged. Like, Tsimikas really can't buy a game unless like Robertson's injured or dead on his feet. Minamino as well, apart from the cups, never really trusted in the Premier League or the Champions League. That's maybe just one thing that you just wish we could try to do a little bit more just to keep them around, because we need those. Without Minamino, I very strongly doubt we would have won off the Carabao or the FA Cup, because other players were knackered. He stepped up in those types of games and got us, very, very important goals. Leicester, without him, we wouldn't have got through to the Carabao Cup semi-final. So there you go. So if there was ever one thing I would criticise Klopp on, it would just be, keeping those players a bit more involved. I think there's been a lot of games this season where in the match previews we've spoken about rotation and, is he going to rest some of the front three a bit more? And it's never really come to fruition. But hey, Black Hammer says Kelleher, although he didn't play that much last season, he's been class this year. And Anissa says, really think Tsimikas can seriously challenge Robbo next season. Felt he was hard done by at times this season as well. Most important involvement from the staff is Dr. Andrea Schlumberger for his expertise in keeping the players fit, especially Matip and Tiago. Maybe he should have been our signing of the season contender.
It's not a bad shout, keeping all those fit for all those games.
Cater as well.
Yeah. Let's move on to probably two of the bigger ones. And if anybody else has another award they would like to award, I'm sure we can do that. But best player and best goal. I think the player is the big one, our Ballon d'Or. Let's go with best goal of the season. Was anybody here going to say the Salah one against Man City or the Salah one against Watford? Because I think it's already got the award.
Between those two, to be honest. I think they're the best two individuals, but I don't know. I still can't pick between them.
Neither of them.
Jay,
Tiago in the Champions League, mate. That technique is just ridiculous. Don't get me wrong, Salah's 2 goals, James, unreal. Both of them are brilliant, but for me, the technique of Tiago's goal in the Champions League is just insane. So yeah, Tiago for me.
Lots of votes already straight away for Salah versus Man City. And Black Hammer agrees, saying Tiago versus Porto was utterly disgusting. Neil, where does your hat rest?
Yep, I'd gone for the Tiago goal in the Champions League, just for the technique. Unbelievable technique, and I thought everybody else would go for Salah, so I wanted to pick something different.
Yeah, absolutely. James, come on, we've got to press you for an answer. Watford or Man City?
I think the Watford one was the better goal. While I think the City one was more significant, the Watford one was a better goal for me. So I'll say Watford.
I don't know if there's any other shouts. I mean, maybe we can all agree Salah has got the best goals, but any other memorable ones that stick to mind in the chat or in the stream itself? I'm just trying to rattle my brain a little bit. I mean, the Minamino one versus Leicester. I mean, considering what was on the line, it was a hell of a take. It's a shame he couldn't have done it in the first leg against Arsenal in the semi-final. Missing that one. Trent versus Newcastle. That was a screamer. Divock Origi versus... Who did we play early? It wasn't Preston. Was it? Preston.
Back heel. Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, that was saucy. I liked that one. I liked that one a lot. And Minamino, what was his last goal? That was a good
Southampton.
That was a well-taken effort. But I think we're all in good agreement on that one. So now we come to best player. I think whoever was in the season review stream has already spoken about this. Mane bicycle kicks, says Anthony. But best player, I think a lot of people have said if it was just on the first half, it would be Mo Salah. If it was just on the second half, it might be Sadio Mane. But from August to the end of May, who was that best player of the season for you? And we'll go in order, starting with Jay.
Alisson. It's like you said, first half of the season, everyone would say Salah for the goals and the assists, and the second half, Mane obviously banged them in, and I think Robbo was brilliant, and I just think forwards always get it, and if it's not, it's always Van Dijk, because Van Dijk's Van Dijk, but Alisson saved us so many points this season from making one-on-one saves. Every game he made a massive save, and I suppose a little bit of last year comes into it with the fact that he got us in the Champions League, but for me, obviously, first 6 months Salah, second 6 months Mane, but for longevity over the whole season, it's Alisson for me.
Yeah. James, player of the season. Oh, hang on. You're muted all of a sudden.
Alisson's a great shout. I was muted. I think our team's built around Trent as well, and I think he's a significant way in how we play, just taking away the assists, which I know he finished second behind Salah, but the thing that annoys me is people say Trent gets quite out of position, whereas his position is central midfield now in certain attacking situations, not right back or right wing, yet people don't seem to recognise it. I think he gets overlooked and underrated because people expect him to be in a right-back defensive position from a central midfield attacking position. So for me, I think he's quite significant in how we're playing, and we're not losing games. So I'm between Trent and I am between Alisson. Alisson was my other thing. I think I'm going to go with Alisson because I think he's had more significant moments of times that have actually won us points. I think he's probably won us more than 10 points this season, which for a goalkeeper is ridiculous. So yeah, I think I'm going to go with Alisson as my player of the season.
I mean, I think the biggest thing with Alisson is he's made 1v1s almost look easy. The way that he judges it, he always rushes out at exactly the right time. And there's been so many occasions this season where I thought, right, this is a goal. Bollocks. Yep. And there was 2 or 3 towards the end of the Real Madrid game as well. But he just comes out at the exact right moment and either puts them off completely, or they can only shoot straight at him, or he doesn't let them dribble past him, which so many keepers seem content to do nowadays. So for that,
feels wrong though, doesn't it? We've had one of the highest goals scoring seasons that we've ever had, and we're talking about a goalkeeper. But I see it in chat, but the reason we've scored so many goals is because, I don't know if anyone saw it in the World Cup when Neuer started this sweeper keeper thing, and they had a position where it was Neuer at goalkeeper, Neuer at right back, Neuer at left back, and then just all the other Germany players up front. And that's how we play, and he allows us to do it. it sounds bonkers, but
Yeah.
I think he's had that bigger impact. And the one-on-ones, like you say, it's just he knows when to attack the feet and doesn't miss.
Absolutely. Neil, the final vote. Let's hear it.
So I went for Alison Becker as well. I just think Salah's form dipped. It would have been Salah after 25 games, but his form dipped, and I just think Alisson has been consistently brilliant all season, making unbelievable saves. You know, and in crucial times in games where we could have gone 1-0 behind. I just think he's been outstanding, and I think because of his consistency and the fact he's done it for the whole season, that was why I went for him.
In terms of Salah's form dropping, I mean, Hyla has a question for us. He says, I have an equation I can't figure out. Salah got the award for Golden Boot, Playmaker of the Season, and Goal of the Season award, but De Bruyne got the Player award. Now, I'll let you guys have your thoughts on that as well. But what I would say is, for me, it's completely a case of recency bias. Because remember, I mean, De Bruyne, first half of the season, I believe, was quite injury-riddled, so he wasn't playing an awful lot. If we just swapped it around, De Bruyne gets injured for most of the second half of the season, and Salah completely ghosts the first half, but gets all these goals and assists in the second half, he easily sweeps that award up. Thoughts on that?
I mean, De Bruyne was outrageous, wasn't he? I was watching some of the City games because obviously of how close it was. And he is the nearest thing to Steven Gerrard I've ever seen in another player. Just the way that he sprints at full speed with the ball, knocks it forward and then whips it. It's an incredibly good player. But Salah, I mean, he hit it in time for the Ballon d'Or. I think the loss I think the reason he didn't win it, he lost in African Cup of Nations. He didn't qualify for thing, and I think his head went. And I genuinely think he's struggling from there. So, yeah, maybe it's recency bias, but when you're talking about a performance of 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, and then it drops to, I wouldn't say 3s and 4s, but 5s because he's not scoring and he's not assisting anymore, it's so hard to go, well, how is that player of the season? Player of the season has to be consistent for the whole season, and every time De Bruyne played, he played well.
Absolutely. I think that just about covers it.
Who was your vote?
I think I'd have to. I think on this occasion I won't be difficult. I think I would go for a clean sweep with Alisson because, as I said, never have I been wanting to watch a goalkeeper so much. I mean, Edison maybe at times plays the swankier passes forwards. You know, he's very good at that, but as an actual goal, I know people use this as Trent's criticism a lot. At the end of the day, he's a defender, but at the end of the day, Alisson's a goalkeeper, and he can play those fantastic balls forward as well. And obviously, we've seen some assists from those. But as an out-and-out goalkeeper, shot stopping as well, the way that he allows us to hold that high line, I think, yeah, without him, I think he's. Oh, would you say he would be a bigger loss than Van Dijk? Or would Van Dijk be a bigger loss? And bearing in mind, we saw what that looks like last season. But we were also missing Matip and Gomez as well. Just to end it on this, who's the bigger miss?
Out of De Bruyne and Van Dijk, did you say? Sorry.
So out of Alisson and Van Dijk, who's the bigger miss?
That is hard because Keller has stepped up now. And Kanate's class. But based on last season, oh no. I was going to say based on last season, I'll say Van Dijk, but I think Kanate and Matip could do a job now.
Well, Calico could do a job.
I know, mate, I know. Yeah. Give that to the comments.
Anthony's positively saying, yeah, if we were without Alice, I think that means without Alisson. We were still top without Van Dijk till December. Yeah, talking about last season, of course.
Yeah.
The
we didn't have Kanate though.
Oh,
Didn't
exactly.
have anyone.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
exactly. Yeah,
exactly.
that's what I mean. So it's hard to judge when you don't have a single player that can cover.
The colours asked for our vote on best asthmatic player of the season, but I think that's meant to be all of them, isn't it? So it
Yeah.
probably just stays as Allison, doesn't it? Well, brilliant. I think we'll leave it there. I think that's been a pretty successful awards show. James, Neil, thank you very much for joining me, and everybody in the live chat. It's been great fun seeing a lot of good memories. You know, it didn't end where we wanted, but there's lots of fantastic memories there, and that is what we will take away from this season. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Thank you guys for joining me. This has been the LFC Transfer Room 2022 Season Awards, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.